A short walk and a thumbs up as President Trump, stricken with COVID-19, left the White House for Walter Reed Medical Center. Marine One, the president's helicopter, flying over Washington, D.C. to the Bethesda, Maryland Military Hospital, where he's expected to remain for a few days.
It was an incredible sight. The president walked out of the White House on his own. He did give a wave and got onto Marine One. But think about it. He's essentially being medevaced from the White House. We saw him land right here at the Walter Reed Medical Center. He got out on his own, got into a car, went into the medical facility.
After landing, the president tweeting this video.
I'm going to Walter Reed Hospital. I think I'm doing very well, but we're going to make sure that things work out. The First Lady is doing very well. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. I will never forget it. Thank you.
President Trump clearly wants to send the message that even though he's going to the hospital, he's still fully functional and in charge.
President Trump says he and the First Lady tested positive for COVID-19 late last night. Multiple sources telling ABC News that the president is experiencing the signature symptoms of COVID-19: fever, chills, nasal congestion, and a cough. This afternoon, the president's doctor sharing that the president was being treated with, quote, a polyclonal antibody cocktail, as well as other medications and vitamins.
These antibodies would be used to help sort of jumpstart that immune system and protect them from the virus, essentially.
The president's doctor sharing the president remains fatigued but in good spirits, and the First Lady remains well with only a mild cough and headache. And later this evening, the president's physician releasing a statement saying that the president is doing very well. He is not requiring any supplemental oxygen, adding that he has started remdesivir therapy.
This is an incredible moment. I mean, we have not seen a president face a serious health challenge like this really since Ronald Reagan was shot in 1981.
The president's diagnosis and hospitalization are a shock for the nation and his administration, which has repeatedly downplayed the pandemic. The president, who has rarely worn a mask publicly, has continued to hold large-scale rallies without mandating social distancing or mask wearing. On Saturday, hundreds of supporters jammed into the Rose Garden as President Trump announced his Supreme Court nominee, Amy Coney Barrett.
There are several people who were at that event who have now tested positive.
Among those in attendance, Utah Senator Mike Lee, caught on camera, mask in hand, hugging one person after another. He has since tested positive. Also in the crowd that day and later testing positive, Kellyanne Conway, the president's former advisor, and the president of Notre Dame University, Father John Jenkins. Neither were wearing masks.
We don't know yet whether, officially the White House event was super spreader, but as more cases start to build up, it's becoming clearer and clearer that it likely was one.
Former New Jersey governor and ABC News contributor Chris Christie was also in attendance. He would then spend the next few days with the president in preparation for the upcoming debate.
I was tested every day that I went to the White House. The last test I took was on Tuesday morning, and I was negative. And we, are now I'm gonna go and get a test this morning to see if that status has changed. I feel fine. I don't feel any symptoms at this time. No one was wearing masks in the room when we were prepping the president during that period of time. The group was about 5 or 6 people in total.
On Monday afternoon, the president and vice president walked out into the Rose Garden maskless.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
To give an update on the nation's coronavirus testing strategy.
And it's important to remember that as younger and healthier people return to work, and as we massively increase testing capacity, we will identify more cases and asymptomatic individuals in low-risk populations. This should not cause undue alarm.
The next day, the president traveled to Cleveland for the first presidential debate. During their first debate, the president and Joe Biden maintained social distancing, never shaking hands. But questions remained about the amount of prolonged, forceful discussion.
But you can't just rely on testing, and you can't just rely on social distancing or mask wearing. It's the combination of these approaches. And yes, when you think about indoor spaces, the ventilation is super critical, and that really indicates the risk that people have.
The president mocked Biden for wearing a mask.
I don't wear masks like him. Every time you see him, he's got a mask. He could be speaking 200 feet away from it. He shows up with the biggest mask I've ever seen.
In the front row, Dr. Jill Biden, seen with her face covered, a sharp contrast to the president's family, mostly not wearing masks, violating the rules of the Cleveland Clinic that hosted the debate. At one point, a health worker approaching them with mask, they refused. After the debate, the First Lady approached the stage, standing alongside the president, while Joe Biden, wearing a mask, approached the former vice president for a hug. Since then, Biden and his wife have tested negative for the virus. On Wednesday evening, the president was back on the campaign trail, holding an outdoor rally in Duluth, Minnesota.
We're going to win Minnesota. We're going
At no point wearing a mask.
On November 3rd, Minnesota will decide whether we end this pandemic, defeat the virus, and return to record prosperity. Either way, we're returning.
The crowd mostly mask-free as well.
Even before he tested positive, some of the president's top advisors told us that they had observed him seeming fatigued, seeming tired. Some told us that they, at that point, were worried that he could have potentially been exposed to COVID-19.
And on that flight home aboard Air Force One, one of his closest aides, Hope Hicks, started to feel ill. ABC News White House producer Jordan Phelps was also on that flight.
And as I was getting off the plane, I bumped into Hope Hicks, who was exiting from a different part of the plane. But it was striking because at the time she was wearing a mask, she had her hair pulled back, and she had switched out of her heels apparently into flats. And we've since learned that she quarantined during that flight home aboard the presidential aircraft.
Hicks tested positive for COVID-19, the White House learning of the results Thursday morning. But by the time the results came in, the president was moving forward with his plans to hold a fundraiser at his club in Bedminster, New Jersey. A number of top aides who were close to Hicks the day before were not on board. Outside the event, video showing a drive-through security screening tent. Joe Piscopo attended that fundraiser, which was held outdoors.
President Trump got COVID because, man, he looked so tough when I saw him. I saw him, Thursday in Bedminster, and I've never seen him more on top of his game.
Rick Mehta and Catherine Hermes also attended.
Everyone was socially distanced. Catherine and I were at least 30 to 40 feet away from the president. All safe precautionary measures taken, ample hand sanitizer, people socially distancing, putting on masks.
Today, White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany, wearing a mask on camera for the first time, responded to why the president decided to go to Bedminster.
It was deemed safe for the president to go. He socially distanced. It was an outdoor event, and it was deemed safe by White House operations for him to attend that event.
Who exactly assessed that it was safe for the president, even though he knew he had exposure, to travel to New Jersey?
White House operations made the assessment it was safe for the president in consultation with others. Thank you guys so much.
By Thursday night, the president was talking about Hicks's positive COVID test result.
You know Hope very well. She's fantastic, and she's done a great job. I just went out for a test. They just do it. It'll come back later, I guess. And the First Lady also, because we spend a lot of time with Hope and others. So we'll see what happens.
Hours later, at 12:54 a.m., the president tweeting, "Tonight, the First Lady and I tested positive for COVID-19. We will begin our quarantine and recovery process immediately. We will get through this together." The First Lady isolating in the White House, their son Barron, has tested negative and is in quarantine.
A negative test doesn't mean you're in the clear because of the incubation period, which can extend all the way to 14 days, which means that you could eventually test positive for the virus.
The president has long been insisting that the worst of the pandemic has passed. He has repeatedly said he felt no vulnerability to the virus, insisting that since everyone in close proximity to him is frequently tested, keeping him safe.
When I walk into the West Wing, most of the staffers there are not wearing masks. They're carrying on as if life is normal. So it is very different from the way most of us are living right now, where we have dramatically modified our lifestyles.
Tonight, the president remains in Walter Reed Medical Center. He's expected to continue working from there for the time being. The events today, just about a month before Election Day, shaking up campaigns. The president now sidelined from doing his signature rallies in person.
He had a packed schedule of campaign rallies ahead. Of course, there are 2 more presidential debates scheduled. Now, all of that is in doubt and entirely unclear what effect this has for the last month of this incredibly contentious and strange presidential campaign.
The Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden requesting that all negative ads are pulled in light of the president's diagnosis, tweeting, "This cannot be a partisan moment. It must be an American moment. We have to come together as a nation." With the election around the corner, Supreme Court nomination hanging in the balance, in a nation in crisis battling a global pandemic, what happens from here is unknown.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.